19% of third graders in Portland Public Schools can read at grade level, that middle and high school students are behind in math, that we have black students that go through 12 years of education and maybe see one or two black educators is a travesty.
And we are back here at the little KBOO hub on top of the Highland Christian Center for MLK Day celebrations. And with me is a brand new co-host for the next little bit. Lesley, why don't you introduce yourself for a moment?
Hi, I'm Lesley McLam, and I'm excited to be here with everyone at the MLK Day event at the Highland Christian Center.
Heck yeah. And we have Candace also here with us. Candace Avalos, am I saying it right? Avalos. I did try. Candace, thank you so much for coming up here and doing an interview with us. You're also an awardee. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here today?
Thank you so much for having me. So yes, I'm Candace Avalos, she, her. I currently work at Verde as the executive director. It's an environmental justice nonprofit, but I spent most of my career as an educator working with young people to help them understand how to use their voice and get involved in leadership.
That's fantastic. And also you were talking about the commission charter review, which KBOO has been pretty active in educating and interviewing people about it. So will you tell us a little bit about what you did there and the process and where we are now?
Absolutely. Well, we'll start with the amazing news that it has passed with Portland voters. So this past November, we passed the ballot measure that included a bunch of different reforms. They include changing our form of government, changing how we vote, and also expanding our council. So I worked on the form of government committee. I co-chaired that with Andrew Spear, and we worked to develop the new government through research across the states, across the country, or across the world, and being able to take all the best practices of good governance and apply them here in Portland. So we're 100 years late, but the advantage of that is it gives us an opportunity to learn from other cities, and we were able to craft something that really fits our unique city.
And was it the seventh time that it was up for voting?
Yes, it was.
And here it is.
And it finally passed.
Yes.
So, yeah.
There's perseverance for you.
For sure.
Yeah, and it really took, the community, because I think the reason that it failed all those other times was the community really wasn't activated. They didn't feel a part of the process. They didn't feel that their voices were reflected in the ultimate recommendations that came out. We really put a lot of time and energy into making sure that wasn't the case, and I think that is what led us to victory.
For sure. Well, we are so excited to have you here, another community leader on this great day of celebrating, but also reflecting, Why don't you tell us a little bit about your relationship with MLK Day and the message and, kind of how it's evolved over the years, especially with this event itself?
Yeah, I spoke a little bit in my speech about how I feel really deprived of my Black history. That's something that with the advantage of technology, with the advantage of just being able to be in community, I have been able to learn more and be empowered by MLK's words instead of be, frankly, oppressed by them. I feel that in the communities that I grew up in, MLK was used as a tool to silence us and to say, no, we cannot be controversial. We cannot ask hard questions because that would disrupt the harmony that MLK supposedly, spoke about. And it's true, of course, he spoke about unity and peace and harmony, but it wasn't at the cost of justice. And so I think that journey for me of really understanding his legacy and how it applies today in the Black Lives Matter movement, how it applies in young organizers around climate change, around economic justice, it's all interrelated. But I felt like I was deprived of that knowledge, and now having it, it's important to me that I help teach young people about his message and how they can see their advocacy through his words.
For sure, that empowerment. Lesley, I want to throw the mic to you.
I was wondering why this particular event here in Portland specifically did you want to participate?
Yeah, I think that I personally am not a religious person, so I don't come here on the regular, but I do think it is a great opportunity to use this venue, the Highland Christian Center, as a place to have a spiritual connection to the movement. And being, one of the oldest churches in this community, a really important a cornerstone for Black communities here in Oregon and Portland. I think that it was important for me to be here and to celebrate with everyone. I love the vendors. I love the gospel music. It's just a great way to celebrate his memory.
For sure. And before we let you go, because I'm sure you have a lot of other, people you have to talk to and a baby to kiss and hands to shake. We can't, in my opinion, looking at MLK Day today specifically in 2023, I can't forget about last week when another Black man was murdered by the LAPD. And considering not looking at today as in a vacuum, but looking at it within the last 2 years, last week, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, couple decades, what makes you, what keeps you hopeful?
I think what keeps me hopeful is knowing that every little bit counts, and I can see the fruits of our labor, even if they take a long time, even if you take one step forward and 2 steps back. I know that the perseverance is exactly what has gotten us to the place we are today, and that is absolutely what MLK's message was about. The things that he did to move us forward did not take sacrifice. It took water hoses, it took jail time, it took, at the end, his assassination. And we cannot forget that those sacrifices meant something. Those leaders did not die in vain. And every single moment that we have to not only move that agenda forward, but to appreciate how far we've come is what keeps me motivated.
Love that. And if people are interested in your work or learning more about you, how can they find you on the internet?
Well, I try to keep my work updated somewhat on CandaceAvalos.com, but definitely you can check out betterthenw.org and learn about our environmental justice work. We work at the intersection of environmental justice, racial justice, and economic justice, and that was absolutely MLK's message, so I believe that we're continuing that to this day.
I think that's some great important work. Could you spell that website for our listeners?
Sure, so it's VERDENW.org, or my name, CandaceAvalos.com.
CandaceAvalos.com. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we are going to get back to the MLK Day celebrations here at the Highland Christian Center. We are going to be hearing from former Senator Margaret Carter. Keep it locked on KBOO Portland.
It is really important that this subject, passing the torch, is given the spotlight